Baseball is back, and at Team Toyota, savings and selection are back too. With tons of new Toyota SUVs, trucks, and hybrids to choose from, and with our lineup of over 200 certified used Toyotas, you can find the right fit for you and your budget. Plus, our service and collision centers are here to get you back in the game in no time. Visit one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, or Glen Mills, or online at teamtoyota.net.
Welcome into the Phillies Talk podcast presented by Team Toyota. I am Spencer McKercher, joined by a very special guest making his season debut, as we mentioned, a few off-season pods with our good buddy Sean Kane, the Phillies pregame and postgame producer. All right, Sean. Well, the sky was falling about 24 hours ago, less than 24 hours ago. But as we sit down here on Thursday, right after the series finale, the Phillies split the series with the Giants. Tough series. A lot of runs scored by both teams, but they hold on today off the back of Christopher Sánchez in a big first inning.
Yeah, no, he was big first inning for sure offensively, and then Sánchez really was the star of the show. His career high 12 strikeouts. Changeup was as good as it's been, which is saying something for his changeup. And it was good. It was a win they needed to have. Losing 3 out of 4 would have been tough. Would have been their 3rd straight series loss. So not a great series overall, but taking a split against a Giants team that's playing really well. I mean, they can hit. They've played really well the first month of the season. So good win they needed to have. And I was impressed with Sánchez and the offense in that first inning. We can probably get more into that without me going on about it right now. But I really thought their approach in the first inning was a lot better.
And they needed that, too, because obviously it's been a lot of trouble with running runners to scoring position. They have the bases loaded with no outs there in the first inning. They end up getting 5 across. Let's hit on Sánchez quick, dude. I mean, he threw that changeup 52% of the time on Thursday. He's been so good this season. And I know people in the YouTube comments were kind of giving me crap after saying he was good, not great in his first start. But since then, man, he's just been electric. He's the first first left-handed Phillies pitcher to strike out 12 plus batters since Cole Hamels no-hitter in 2015.
Wow.
The stat that was crazy is that the Phillies are now 11-0, and in the last 11 games that Christopher Sánchez started going back to last year.
And that includes the postseason. The only postseason game they won last year.
Correct. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So he's kind of become this stopper now for the Phillies. So after a fantastic performance, what kind of impressed you the most from Sánchez?
Yeah, obviously the changeup, as we mentioned. I just think the importance of him in the rotation. We talked about it in the pregame show today. Nola's struggling. Wheeler hasn't been Wheeler. Obviously, Rangers in the IL. So, suddenly he's become a lot more important. He's always been important to their rotation. But now, as you said, he's a guy they need to step up and deliver every 5th day while the rest of these guys either get healthy or kind of get rolling a little bit. After Nola really struggled last night, it was nice to see him come out. He got that early. He gave up that 1 run in the first inning. But then once they went up 5-1, you felt pretty good about it. Real Muto talked after the game just about his changeup and how, it was they felt comfortable calling it in any situation. It was particularly good today. And I think the combination of that changeup and the shadows around that time of day, good luck with him. I mean, he got, as you mentioned, 52% of the time, and there were plenty of swing and misses on that strikeout. So just a good outing, goes about his business, developing into a star. I don't think that's he was an all-star last year, and I don't think it's too much to say this guy's becoming a star. He's one of the best pitchers in the National League now for going on a year and a half. So an outing they needed to have, and he looked really good.
He did. And yeah, I think he's a star. And I think come season end, if everything continues to go right, obviously it's only been 3 or 4 starts here, but there could be talks of Christopher Sánchez, at least in the Cy Young running. Yeah. Obviously last year with Ranger Suarez, we kind of thought the same thing. However, it's still early, but I mean, the way he's looked so far. And I think the point is too, just kind of becoming that stopper for the Phillies as of late, just getting the team, a win when they needed the most. And obviously the offense was big today. We can touch on that now. 5 runs in the first inning. And I think out of everything, the last 2 games, including on Wednesday as well, or Tuesday, today's Thursday. Yeah. Tuesday, Alec Bohm comes up. Obviously he needed a break, got one today in the first inning.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've been talking a lot with the runners in scoring position, like coming into today's game. I think they were 7 for 59 in their last 4 games and like 5 for 48 in their last 4 losses. It's been pretty brutal.
Yeah, he was 1 for 19 with runners in scoring position until that at bat on Tuesday night.
Yeah, and they were 1 for 9 as a team last night, or pardon me, on Wednesday night. So they needed it, and I think Rob Thompson talked about it because he's been asked a ton about what's going on, and he just thinks they're pressing a little too much. They're getting a little too pull side happy. They're just trying to do too much instead of just kind of pass the baton when runners are on base. And that's what they did in the first inning. Like Ben Davis talked about in our pregame show on Thursday, just go with the pitch. Don't try to pull everything. Don't try to kill everything. And sure enough, Stott leads off with a single the other way. Turner then the infield single the other way. Harper draws a walk. Schwarber a big 2-strike hit.
Huge.
And then Castellanos goes the other way. So it was really, you just saw the approach. They were just doing enough to kind of keep it going, keep the line moving. And it ended up with Bohm got the big hit. They scored another run on a wild pitch. And 5 runs in the first inning is great. And yeah, they really needed to come through with a couple of big hits. Schwarber gave him the first one with runners in scoring position, and it kind of went from there. So the approach I thought was a lot better, and hopefully we see more of that here moving through. Guys just kind of not trying to do too much and just kind of taking what the pitcher's going to give you.
And in a game like this too, obviously it's been, like I said at the top of the show, the sky was falling. Dude, I had to mute Twitter for a little bit there, and I get it. I get the Negadelphia. I get it all. But it is April. If this was in August, let's freak out.
Right.
That's fine. The inconsistency, the flip-flopping up and down. And again, yeah, this whole series, Monday, it was like, okay, this team is back to square one. Tuesday, they come out and score a bunch of runs, get a nice win.
Yep.
Then on Wednesday, they come out and do the same thing as Monday. And then today, they come out and score 5 runs in the first inning and hold on. I will say the game did kind of feel like it was kind of slipping away there. They didn't get a hit there for the last few innings until they come up
one
clutch.
Hit after the first inning.
Yeah.
And even in the 8th inning when they scored a run, there was no hits.
No
a
hits.
couple of walks, wild pitch, and then a sac fly.
From Sosa. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of felt like it is. And I really hope that kind of gets out of the way. But this is still, I think, a huge momentum building win. At least we can hope. As I mentioned, the flip-flopping back and forth. So who knows with this team right now. But I think scoring 5 runs in the first inning, offense looks good. As you mentioned, the approach looked fantastic. This should lead into this weekend against the Marlins.
Yeah, Marlins team coming in that, theoretically you'd like to win a series against them, although they got, Alcantara, who hasn't pitched that great either, pitching on Friday night in the opener. But I thought it was interesting that Rob Thompson, before Thursday's game, made it a point. He was kind of asked, what's bothering you the most? And he talked about the offense and we just need to play better. But then he made a point to say at the end of his quote that, hey, but if we win today, we're 11-8, and that's what we were at this time last year. Now, obviously, they kind of took off as May. They went on a nice run, leading all the way up into London. But perspective, they're 11-8. That's what they were last year when they won 95 games. Wheeler and Nola haven't looked anything like themselves. So you're 11-8. Your best 2 pitchers have not been themselves. Harper certainly hasn't set the world on fire. I think offensively, Schwarber and Castellanos have been very good. But, Turner's off to a slowish start. And obviously, the young guys haven't done a whole lot. So take all that into consideration. Rangers not even pitching. You're 11-8. Take it, go with it. Marlins come in and they go on the road next week. It'll be a tough road trip to New York and Chicago. But all in all, big picture, I kind of agree with Rob Thompson. Take a breath. They're 11-8. That's what they were last year. And the sky is not falling, as you said.
The sky is not falling. And I was actually listening to our good buddy Ricky Bo's show, and I think they were talking about it. I'm going to look it up right now. In 1980, obviously this is kind of a stretch, but it is just to kind of put in perspective that it is only April. Mm-hmm. The 1980 World Series team was 9-10 at this point, and the 2008 team was also 9-10.
Yeah.
So again, everything is okay. I get everyone kind of freaking out, but like I said, man, Twitter was just kind of, it was bad, man. I can't keep looking at it because it's just so negative, and it's like the sky is completely falling and everyone is out on this team. Everyone's out on Marsh and Bohm and all this, and give these guys time, man. Yeah. And we'll hit on those guys real quick. Obviously, after Tuesday's win, a lot of good comments from Alec Bohm, Brandon Marsh, and even Bryce Harper. Bryce gets a little philosophical on us. And
play this beautiful game.
It's a beautiful game, baby.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful game. But it's that, again, and I feel like we've been saying it a lot ever since Bryce Harper's become a Philadelphia Philly, but just that maturity, the composure, the kind of step back and take everything in as a bigger picture from Bryce Harper has been impressive ever since he's become a Philadelphia Philly. And hearing him kind of just talk about how he was thinking on the on-deck circle in the 3rd inning, just how lucky these guys are. They're strong, they're healthy, They're making a lot of money, which helps a lot. And then Alec Bohm and Brandon Marsh both kind of opened up about their struggles and how they've kind of leaned on each other. What were your takeaways from just hearing from Marsh and Bohm? Obviously, Marsh didn't play in Thursday's series finale, kind of tweaked that knee, and Wednesday took that very awkward fall in center field there when the Giants were kind of pouring it on Wednesday. But what were your takeaways from some of those comments from Alec Bohm and Brandon Marsh?
It seemed injury-wise for Marsh after the game Thursday, Rob Thompson did say, it's just a little sprain behind the knee. He's day-to-day. It looks like he's going to avoid the IL, which was good news because I thought maybe since he's struggling, maybe they use this as like, hey, man, take a week and a half, 2 weeks, go on the IL. But it sounds like, if he doesn't play tomorrow, he might be back at some point this weekend. So that's good news. And obviously got good injury news on Castellanos too, with the tightness in his left hip flexor. He might even play tomorrow. I know he probably wants to play or try to play 162 again. But answering your question, I've been impressed before I get to Bohm and Marsh. I feel like reading between the lines, Harper is kind of really showing a little more extra leadership with that group of guys.
Yes.
Like it just seems like he's kind of there for those guys, but he's kind of also kind of giving them a little kick like, hey, let's go. There's no more daycare. You're at this time. Like it's time to step up, contribute, because other than bringing Max Kepler in, they didn't do a whole lot offensively. They're really counting on Marsh and Bohm and Stott to be big contributors. And obviously Bohm and Marsh have struggled. So I can just see Harper kind of, reminding them, as you just detailed, let's have fun. It's a beautiful game and all that good stuff. So I think that's been cool. Like I can tell Harper's kind of, being there for those guys, and they're kind of, leaning on him a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the vibes around Marsh and Bohm got better this week, like especially after that win on Tuesday where they both contributed. They both admitted they've been going through it. They're roommates, so they're kind of leaning on each other a little bit. And, with each of them kind of scuffling the first month of the season. But the vibes seem better. I think Marsh hit some balls hard this series before he got hurt. Bohm obviously had some big hits in the series as well. So, get those guys going, get them contributing, lengthen the lineup a little bit. I think Bohm specifically is too good of a hitter for this to continue. Like the guy uses all fields. He's not going to hit one, whatever. Marsh, he needs to prove that he can be that guy and hit left-handed pitching. And it's not a great start, obviously, but hopefully encouraging signs, and hopefully he gets healthy, takes a day or two here and can start contributing a little bit more. So I think overall, compared to where we were like 4 or 5 days ago with those two guys, I think it's starting to trend a little bit in the right direction.
And going back to the negative, again, I get where everyone's coming from, and I get people being out on Alec Bohm and Brandon Marsh. I get it, but it's also kind of ridiculous. And to my opinion, we'll see in July. Dave Dombrowski, obviously, he's kind of sat in his hands a little bit in the last few deadlines. Yeah. That's a a topic for a later pod down the road. But I still think, it was great to see the fans give Brandon Marsh a little standing ovation. Yes, he was over 3, but he did drive in a run on Tuesday in Tuesday's win with a little sac fly. Brought her, and like that just boosts your confidence. And he was smiling in the dugout because it was terrible to see him just very dejected over the weekend in St. Louis. You could tell that this was bugging him, and there's a lot going on. And I actually saw his sister kind of came to his defense on Twitter here today. There was a few tweets that she came to the defense of his brother, which is it shouldn't have to be like that, but it's also good to have some people in your corner, especially when you're struggling like this. But going back to Bryce too, you and I actually were talking about it during the game. It's the leadership, and you saw it in the blowout on Wednesday. Carlos Hernandez comes in not throwing any strikes. He had 2 or 3 3-0 counts, and the second or third 3-0 count, Bryce literally called Marchand out to go and talk to Hernandez, and Bryce literally, you could tell he was just like, dude, throw strikes. So that's all we need. I can't remember him doing that before. No. Where he literally called Marchand out and was like, we need to talk to this guy. Yes, it's 11-4. Who cares? Yeah. Throw strikes, dude. It's cold too. Yeah. we want to get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
But Bryce's leadership, it continues to shine. And obviously Kyle Schwarber has kind of been that pseudo leader over the last few years, but we haven't really heard from Kyle too much, post games so far this season, but I'm sure he's still bringing the leadership as well. But
for sure. Yeah, no, those are the two guys in that clubhouse. And hopefully the young guys follow along and we can get out of this funk. But again, 11-8, considering all the bad stuff we've been talking about. Yep. 11-8 after 19 games. So it could be worse. Could be a lot worse. It could be the Braves. It could be a handful of other teams who are really going through it. Yeah. The Phillies are just fine right now.
The Orioles owner just came out the other day and was like, everyone calm down. Right. I think they were like 6 and 11 at the time, and they're in last place in the AL East, and the Orioles owner is literally telling everyone, relax. It's April. So it could be worse. I guess now that we are talking about Negadelphia and it could be worse, we can talk about kind of the one blemish that has been a thing so far this season, and that's Aaron Nola. Yeah. for the first time in his career, he loses 4 straight starts. First time in his career that he started a season 0-4. Again, it's one of those where we've seen it before, where the velocity will come once it starts to warm up. Louisiana bred,
that's right. Warm weather guy,
very warm weather guy. We'll see it come, but it is slightly concerning to see that fastball only average about 90 in his start on Wednesday. The velocity's not been there, and then it was his command. He said it was unacceptable. I think I agree with him.
Yeah. No, yeah. And 2 straight starts, too. I think he's walked in a run, which is crazy because he never walks anybody, let alone walk the bases loaded and then walk in a run.
I think he's done it twice in the last 2 starts. He did it 3 times in his entire career before this season. He's done it in back-to-back starts.
Yeah. So very unlike him command-wise, very unlike you said, the velocity's been down. I'm not ready to hit the panic button, but I get it. Like, it's 4 starts. It's not like a bad start. Like, it's been a lousy start for him. And the other night, Wednesday night, just that first inning was brutal. Like, I thought at one point he might not get, he was going to throw too many pitches. Then we would get him out of there.
It was what? He was up to 34, 35.
Got up at one point.
Yeah, he did.
Set him back down. But like, you can't let him throw 50 pitches or whatever. He was going to, through 30, whatever. But, yeah, no, it's troubling. And, you add it on to, as I mentioned earlier, Wheeler hasn't been Cy Young Wheeler. Now he very well could be by the end of the year, but his last 2 starts against the Cardinals and in Atlanta obviously didn't get a whole lot of help. But anyhow, he's given up some runs. So, yeah, the rotation, which everybody thought would be lights out, the strength of this team. Sánchez has been great. Luzardo's been great. Ranger, we're still waiting on. Taiwan was great, then had that rough inning in his last start. So it's been up and down. But Nola's the biggest concern of the group for sure. And until he comes out and throws a few vintage Aaron Nola starts. So I'm guessing, I'm just in my head here, he'll start that series opener in New York on Monday.
I believe so.
That's a big start for him. And hopefully it's a little warmer next week, and it should be, and then we can kind of go from there. So he'll get 2 starts on that road trip. He'll start in New York and in Chicago. So yeah, I mean, these are big starts for him. Like, we're into it now. His 5th and 6th starts of the season. We'll see how he does in this road trip. Hoping we'll see a little more uptick in velocity, a little better command, and he gets back to being Aaron Nola.
Yeah, and so he did get his 1,800 strikeout, which I guess he's still sitting at 3rd or 4th all time. He's going to get the 2nd at some point.
He's going to pass a lot of guys this year.
Yeah. Yep. So still pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what's your level of concern? 1 to 10? 10 being like pure panic. I think I know the answer.
Nola?
Yeah.
3.
Yeah,
I was
going to say the same exact thing.
3, like not nothing, but not approaching like a 5 or anything.
Dude, it's so funny because again, like these people on Twitter, man, like it was like send him down to AAA. It's like, dude, if you send that guy, that would never in a million years happen, and it's ridiculous that even people are throwing that narrative out there. If he got sent down, the Braves would call somebody immediately and be like, "We're coming to pick him up, and we'll take him." 29 other teams will be like, yeah, exactly.
As you know, on Phillies pre and post game, we pride ourselves in being very measured. A Michael Barkan, Ricky Bottalico led program. We're not going to overreact to anything. We're going to keep our emotions in check. So we're gonna ride this out with Knowles. We're not calling for any demotions or any anything like that.
It's insane, man. And here's the thing. Maybe Brandon Marsh at some point. We've seen it work before. Me and Corey on the last pod kind of talked if that was an option. I don't think it is right now. Again, it is April 17th. We're fine. Now, if he continues to struggle into late May.
Yeah, now that I could see. Yeah.
He has the options.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out when the time comes.
Rob Thompson said the other day, like to him, in his opinion, like once you get to 100 at bats, then you can start not worrying. But then you can, and it's still early. And he brought up the fact too, Rob Thompson, earlier this week, that there's like 70 players in Major League Baseball hitting under 200. So slow starts. It's April. It's the weather. But yeah, I think you give Marsh a little more rope. But I mean, he's 0 for April. So like it's pretty significant here.
Yeah.
But no, I think 100 at bats is usually the benchmark to where if he's still struggling, then you might consider the old AAA switch out. Yeah,
and I saw Otto Kemp he's starting in left field tonight. That could be something. That could be nothing. He has fantastic numbers so far down there in AAA. I think he's batting like 325 and a handful of at bats. But Otto Kemp is a name because everyone's kind of clamoring for Justin Crawford.
Right.
It's way too early. Let's get that out of our heads right now. Maybe at some point this season, but right now it's way too early for Justin Crawford. So anyway, a good series overall. Would you call it a good series overall? What's your main takeaway from?
I thought it was a good win on Thursday.
Like we said, we like to overreact. I think this is a huge win in my opinion. This Giants team is not going to be a crappy baseball team.
No,
they're going to be fighting for a wild card spot. Maybe I don't know. The Padres and Dodgers
swinging the bat, man. That's a good lineup.
I mean, what, they have 104 runs this season. I think it's tied for third right now.
Yeah.
In all of Major League Baseball, they obviously put up 22 combined runs in their 2 wins. Yeah. They had 11-11, right?
Yeah, they had 11 runs
on Monday and Wednesday. Yeah. So it's a team that is going to be there, and their pitching obviously is pretty good. Jordan Hicks struggled a little bit on Thursday.
Yeah, that division's
dude, that's what I'm saying.
It's going to be a rough division.
It's insane. You have the Diamondbacks, really the Padres, the Dodgers, them, and then you have the basement Rockies. But I don't know, man. I'm like, I think huge win on Thursday here. Real quick too, we were talking about it. Talking about Giants pitching, that game on Wednesday with Nola and Robbie Ray, they both walked in a batter.
Yeah,
with the bases loaded. That's the first time since 2001 in all of Major League Baseball that both starting pitchers walked in a run in the first inning.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's an insane stat.
Yeah, Ray had nothing in that first inning.
Oh my god,
Philly should have got more off him than they did, obviously. But yeah, I believe it. That first inning felt like about an hour.
It felt like that. It was 36 minutes. I think it was 78 total pitches, 36 minutes. And as you and I talked before pregame today, thank goodness Ricky Bowe had the week off,
right?
Because that would have been miserable to sit with him.
Rick doesn't like it.
It's
pitcher's not throwing strikes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll transition. I mean, is there anything else you want to hit on from the series? I think, again, I'm happy with taking a split with these guys. Obviously, you had the highs and lows and the flip flops, but
no, I like, I think Harper's in a good place. Like, he went 0 for 2 on Thursday, but he had a couple walks, scored a couple runs. I think he really obviously found the power stroke during this series. Yep. And I like that Rob Thompson's committed to, like, Schwarber's just going to bat behind him. Like, I know Rob Thompson for up until this season has been big on breaking up the lefties and right, left when he can. Obviously, there's something to that, but I don't know. I go back to the best run the Phillies have had prior to this run when it was Chase Utley third and Ryan Howard fourth, and there were 2 left-handed guys, and that just, there were 2 best hitters. Let them bat there, and obviously give Bryce some protection, because that's been a problem early this season when they've had whoever it's been in that 4 hole. Bohm, obviously, to start the season, and even Castellanos struggle when he was hitting 4th. I like him at 5th. So yeah, I like the lineup. I like the Schwarber behind Harper, whether you're facing a lefty or facing a righty, just kind of ride with it.
Yeah, and it's funny because Bohm, after the game on Wednesday or on Tuesday, I have no idea what it is. It's one of those weeks. Thursday, So on Tuesday, after Tuesday's win, we were talking about him. He said once him and Marsh get going, they're not 8 and 9 hitters, and I would argue that. I would agree with them. So if they can get going, but in this whole lefty righty thing, I get it. It's what Rob wants to do. It's fine. I personally like this lineup with Stott leading off as well. I still think Trey Turner probably should be your everyday leadoff hitter, but I kind of like the way it's developed with Stott. And he's putting some good at-bats. Yeah. And as you mentioned, Bryce heating up. I think he had 4 RBIs in the series. He had 4 RBIs in all of April so far. Yeah. And like total bases, I think he had 11 total bases in the series. He only had like 6 in all of April. So he said
Schwarber's OBP is going to be, I expect them both to be right around like 400 this season. They're kind of both right there now, I think. So yeah, no, get those good guys. Sense. And yeah, I think so. I think it's a positive end to what was kind of a troubling series to begin with, but to take split, Marlins come in, then a big road trip. I think, there could be in a good spot here. And soon enough, it'll be May, and we'll be talking about the warmer get weather, and hopefully Nola dealing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll wrap up here, just kind of scratching the surface on this Marlins series. You mentioned earlier in the pod, Friday, fun matchup with Sandy Alcantara and Zach Wheeler. Yep. The Marlins, they might not have any home attendance, but they are, 8-10. They're playing decent baseball to start the season. Yeah. They sit right now 3rd in the NL East, above the Nats and the Braves, but it could be one of those series. It's not like the Rockies and Nationals to start the season where it's like, all right, you should dominate this team, but I think you should dominate this team.
Yeah, they should. On paper, yes. They have much more talent. Wheeler tomorrow night, setting the tone, hopefully. I mean, obviously, Alcantara. I think Alcantara and Wheeler's ERAs are pretty similar. They're both in the 4s now, which obviously is unlike the 2 of them. Yeah. But Alcantara, I mean, if this season goes according to plan, I think he's probably going to be the biggest trade deadline acquisition to whoever can acquire him. But the Marlins are obviously going to have quite a few takers there, assuming they're going to sell him. But yeah, no, it should be fun. Alcantara, obviously, we haven't seen him in a while. I feel like we feel like we have not.
Yeah,
with Tommy John and everything. Yeah. So he'll be back and get that win tomorrow. And then, you go from there. Hopefully Taiwan can, pitch like he's done in every other inning besides that awful inning, which he hurt himself with a throwing error. But anyhow, Yeah, and then Jesus against his old team on Sunday. That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Fun. I know a lot of the Easter jokes. We won't get into any religion here.
I didn't even think it. We'll have Cole Hamels in the booth. That's exciting.
It's exciting.
Cole's regular season debut.
Something to look forward to. Yeah. Cole in the booth. He was in the dugout on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But we do have Jesus
on Easter Sunday.
On Easter Sunday. So we'll see how that goes against Connor Gillespie.
Okay.
Not to be mistaken with Colin
Gillespie. There we go. We got it in. 24 minutes to took the Villanova basketball, but we got all-timer Colin Gillespie. And he's making a nice name for himself in the NBA for the Suns. It wasn't a bad season for the Suns, but Colin Gillespie was a bright spot at the end of that season. I can break it down more for you if you want, but I'll stand down.
One day. Yeah. Anytime Sean is on the pod, we have to talk Villanova basketball.
Yes,
so,
good stuff.
And hey, we'll wrap up too. Me and Corey obviously didn't get to it, but I know the booth did, and post game, me and Sean Kane, very big alumni from the Westchester Golden Rams, who won
Bill Giles Invitational.
The Bill Giles Invitational over at CBP last week.
Four straight Bill Giles Invitational champs.
Now. Shout out to Westchester baseball, baby.
One of the best Division II programs in the country. Head coach Mike LaRosa, teammate of mine at Bishop Shanahan High School back in the late 90s. But yeah, Mike's doing a great job. Golden Rams, baby. Love it. Bill Giles champs.
Let's go, man. Yeah, always, I mean, hey, they won the championship when I was still there in 2017 or 18.
Yes.
It was either 17 or 18. So,
all right.
Westchester.
I think I graduated a year or two before you.
Just a few.
Exactly.
Right. Not that long ago. Not that long ago, though. So, well, hey, man, thanks for joining the pod. It was great. We have a lot of fun stuff here coming. I'll be heading to Europe here next week, but I think me and Brookie will be knocking out a pod. Even if you want to join on Sunday, we'll see. It's Easter Sunday though, so we'll see. I know you have a big weekend, little boys weekend this weekend.
I sure do. Yes,
you and Big John, shout out.
Yep. Good times.
So yeah, man. So a good series split with the Giants. Like I said, I'm happy with it. Thursday was a big win, as you mentioned, and hopefully they can ride a little momentum with the Marlins coming to town, the old bottom feeder Marlins.
That's right,
and
Ricky Bowe.
Speaking of Ricky Bowe, he'll be back with pre and post game all weekend. Yeah, he took a nice little week off there, much deserved.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it was deserved or not, but
quieter around here.
That's right. It was a little quieter this week.
Up tomorrow.
And it's going to be just as chaotic as soon as he gets back this weekend. So for Sean Kane, I am Spencer McKercher. We'll talk to you guys on Sunday after the Marlins series.